good morning, everybody. Delighted to be here to host this session. My name's Phil Jones. I'm the General Manager for EMEA and APAC, based here in London. And I'm delighted to be joined by Adam and by Kevin to talk a little bit more about the impact and ROI achievable through talent intelligence. So we'll start with a quick intro. No, we were in the right place. We should have trusted ourselves. Now we're in the wrong place.
Inconsistency of
slide.
Sorry,
everybody, just give me a sec. Can we just switch very quickly, because I will get told off by marketing. Yeah, can you believe it?
Not a problem.
There we go. There we go. Nothing to see. There's a curtain. There we go. Fantastic. Wow. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for, but no. Kevin, back to you.
If we're applauding for that, it's quite a low bar, right? So that's good news.
Go for it. I'd like to say a quick intro to yourself.
Yeah. So, hey everyone, I'm Kevin Blair. I'm the Global Head of Talent Acquisition at Ericsson. So as you know, Swedish telecoms company, about 100,000 people, based here in the UK. We're very much in our transformation mode and very actively building our future state. So as much as I'll talk about some of our experiences, the learnings as well. I'm like a sponge that's also projecting today, I guess. So.
Great stuff. Delighted to have you.
Right.
And Adam.
Good morning, all. My name's Adam Rogers. I'm the Head of Strategic Workforce Planning and Talent Intelligence for Amdocs. You may not have heard of Amdocs before. We're a software services company. We support many of the world's biggest media, communications, digital, financial services customers. You may not have heard of us, but it's very likely we'll have supported you unknowingly in the last week if you consumed media, accessed cloud services, or used 5G. We've been on our journey now with Eightfold for 4 years. We started with talent acquisition, leading that. And then the market went south. And it's very difficult to show value when you've got no fuel going through or little fuel going through your engine. So we pivoted quickly to talent management. And we now see the benefits of being able to plan by skill, hire by skill, develop by skill. That's us.
Wonderful. Thank you both, gentlemen. So we talked about it, and Ricky just alluded to it. When we're out in the market as Eightfold talking, and with a lot of our partners that are in the room as well, the main topic that comes up is having to prove out the value. You know, nothing, particularly in today's macroeconomic environment, is getting supported and approved without a really tangible set of business case values and elements there. So this session is something that I know many in the audience will be interested in. Probably conversations are starting in certain levels. And so I'm really delighted to walk us through it. Ricky also alluded to something that we brought to the market around a year ago, which is our 3E value framework. And we're going to spend time dialing into each of those. The first is effectiveness, and obviously how you can drive measurable outcomes with the tools themselves. And Kevin, if I can come to you with the first question, any examples or experiences that you can share around Ericsson and how the talent intelligence tool has helped you to make better business decisions?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think when I think about a journey, so whilst we're at the start of this phase of our transformation, we've actually been an Eightfold customer for, I think, 5 years or so now. And it's interesting because what we've been able to do is work alongside you to reinvent the way we create value with the product, which I think is a really good example of how, you know, for all the way you look at the bells and whistles, that being able to re-engineer within your own processes do it. And one of the ways that we've been able to drive effectiveness with our team, and I've been very critical in the past, and anyone that's seen me talk before knows that I've been very critical of tech within talent acquisition specifically, and how much it's allowed the user, the recruiter, to be self-directing compared to other industries where they've had much more directive control around the activities and therefore the outcome. So being able to introduce and elevate things like the matching technology and the way we consume information does drive towards better outcomes, because the way the world works right now is the recruiters and talent acquisition as it is very much human-led with technology support. And what we know and what we see is we're moving towards a technology-led with human intervention coming in. And so as we go on that journey, one of the great things we're starting to see is be able to drive recruiter behaviors and activities in the way that we'd want. So instead of, you know, we're a big brand, we're a big company, we're the market leader in most of the geographical markets we operate in. So therefore, our candidate attraction is very high, particularly within our core markets. And if you look at the way technology was sold, particularly CRMs in recruitment, 6, 7, 8 years ago, it was like, you need to know everybody in the world, know everybody, and then try and engage them through your brand. Activity kills recruiters' productivity, because the more work you put on their desk, the less you're influencing the outcome. So by using the matching technology, by refining it, what you're then able to do is start to have much higher quality pipelines, much higher quality pull-through rates towards success, and ultimately creating a better outcome for the organization. So I think in terms of the qualitative outcome, it's been huge. So that's represented a big opportunity for us to start on that journey of starting to direct a self-directing entity, which I think is a huge step for us.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for sharing. And Adam, another question that is posed quite often is the cost of delay, the cost of inaction. We've talked already this morning in a number of the sessions about having to lean in, be brave, be bold, go and be a pathfinder, go and innovate through AI. Any examples or aspects that you've been able to quantify about the cost of inaction through talent and AI in particular?
Simple answer, yes. I work for a really cynical business. It's very difficult to show something that is that people will go, yep, sign me up, I'm interested. So we deal with this, lots of inertia and resistance, and if we start talking about cost of action, or cost of inaction, it feels like I'm trying to sell, and selling doesn't work in Amdocs. You've got to show actual value, prove it, practical value. So cost of inaction, it's simple ones we talk about: productivity loss, manual processes, you need more people, there's less value. Delays in hiring, missed opportunities, lost revenue for Amdocs, that's important. And then stranded talent, it's embarrassing if you are hiring for skill when you already have the skill internally, but you can't see it. You're burning time, you're burning money, you're burning trust. But this cost of inaction, the way we kind of flip it around, what's the benefit of action? And what we try and do is exploit envy. I'll explain that a bit. Create beautiful, find your evangelist, find the person within the organization that you can support. You support them well, you make them successful. Once you've done that, you market the hell out of it. You talk to the other leaders, and immediately you see that envy. If he's doing it, she's doing it, I want that. I can see they're solving challenges. So it's that ability to exploit that, identify it, and make sure you create small pockets of beautiful first and expand.
Really. I hope that helps. I think just on that point, just to add to that actually, one of the things that many of us have been pushing for and trying to push the vendors towards helping us within our spaces, we need to commercialize the activities of HR and of talent acquisition. And when I came into Ericsson 18 months ago, one of the things I said to the executive team was, I'm going to draw a straight line, because we've gone through a huge transformation. We were fully RPO, now we're fully in-house. I'm going to draw a straight line between my team's activity and revenue or product, a straight line to revenue or product. And exactly as you were saying, there's like too much of this ambiguity. So we've actually decided to abandon the search for the holy grail metric of TA, quality of hire, which no one's ever really landed in a convincing way. So we're moving now to develop impact of hire. And that's internally and externally as well. It's like, if we move that person, how many skills do they acquire in year one? What's their promotion velocity? What's their performance scoring? And there's a whole ecosystem of 20 different data points that say, that was the impact of that decision. And that's why using the things like, because then you can create a full loop to say, well, actually, where did we hire from in the matching scores that pulled through, that then necessitated the outcome that showed the greatest pull through to value? Amazing. So sorry to hijack.
No, that's wonderful.
The question. I think it's just
great,
an important
great
point.
Points. Yeah, and I think your respective journeys are so valuable. So no, that's wonderful. The second E is all around experience, and obviously, as we know in consumable technology, if people don't use it and adopt it, then it's going to have a very low sustainable method of actually delivering some of the things that Kevin and Adam have shared. So experience is a key component, and particularly how the human using the AI can actually work really well with it. I'll come back to you, Kevin, on this. Any examples, particularly of employee feedback that you and the Ericsson team have felt around the tool and maybe ways that it's helped engagement across the whole talent life cycle?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think that when you think about how you drive that, you look at the two constituent kind of key funnels, so internal and external. So what you're able to do with internal is you're able to create a hyper-personalized journey where it's developing and curating the knowledge we have, exactly as we were just saying, the knowledge we have, the insights we have, not going back to where we all were 10 years ago, where we got all our employee information off LinkedIn, which used to be the way it worked. And so we have that intelligence now to create these personal journeys and development paths that actually pull through. So you're able to give more credible approaches to how you're curating and caretaking like internal mobility. And I always use a phrase, and I use this phrase with my team all the time, is as a leader, as an executive, when you think about managing your team, we don't owe anybody a career as leaders. What we owe them is a platform to develop their career and to open those opportunities. And I think that's really important that we've seen that developed with the personalization on both sides, internal and external. What I would say is when you talk about the human intervention, most of the failure points in recruitment are at the point of human intervention. And we are, if you look at how fast and rapid, and some of the demonstrations that were given this morning, they're out there, you see we're not 5 years away from deep automation and artificial intelligence and digital twins. We are arriving there now. We're in the moment. We're doing pilots. We're all involved in that. And I think what you're going to see a change is, where does the human move further up the process stream and that? And I'll make a prediction here and now. You can all hold me to account in 3 or 4 years when we come back, is even the concept of talent acquisition as a phrase will disappear in favor of hiring orchestration, because human intervention is going to come much further back. So push the automation, the personalization, the hypercare through the automation process and bring humans in at exactly the right point where you need human intervention, rather than the point that it's going to fail because inference is with the human and not with the intelligence and stuff like that. So I think we are, and I shared it with my team a couple of weeks ago, we are moving into hiring orchestration, where you are an air traffic controller as a recruiter and you're sitting over the glide paths, and that's what we're going to see in the very near future.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, fantastic. Adam, yeah, please
Kevin,
add on.
You are bang on with what you say. Well, I would say in addition, one of the two proud pieces of feedback that we're getting, you are right, we owe nobody a career. We owe them a vehicle and a platform. And one of the biggest, most proud feedback we get from our Amdocs employees is, Adam, the system actually sees me. They're telling me about opportunities that I didn't even know about, let alone I would ever apply to. And that's brilliant. From a manager perspective, and this is key for me, we've got manager enablement. I got a text message on holiday a couple of weeks ago from one of our senior leaders, and Adam, I know you're on holiday, I've got to text you. I've just set 10 development plans for my team. It was so easy, great experience, etc. But they're sitting there now knowing at some point in the future, very near future, they can prove that they have upskilled their team. And it's so powerful being able to give people that vehicle to do that.
Wonderful. Thank you, Adam. And also staying within the auspice of experience, Adam, if I come to you, particular examples where you've seen the tools surface hidden talent, a little bit like you were just talking about there, that you wouldn't necessarily have happened upon were it not for the AI capabilities.
So the first subject that came to my mind here when we were talking about this is our female leadership. We work in the communication space. We're male-dominated. We are passionate about ensuring we have the right level of females in our leadership team. We have extensive training, development programs to identify future female leaders. And the problem we've got, though, is ensuring those female leaders actually apply to opportunities, actually have the guts to say, yep, I'm suitable for that and I want to go and apply. Now, when we do get our applications, it's invariably 80% dominated by male, historically. Now we're a skills-powered organisation. Our recruiters, our TAs, and our managers and mobility teams are actually able to see those skills. We don't wait for females to apply. We go and proactively approach them because we can see the skills. We go and make it happen. We don't wait for an application. So we're talking about hidden talent, not hidden, but we're making sure that we're actively pursuing that talent that wouldn't necessarily apply to the position if we didn't help and support.
Yeah, that really resonates. We see it's so prolific that women, females, ethnic minorities will often qualify themselves out before they've even applied for a role because they don't have all of the skills. So.
Neurodiverse people. Automation
100%.
lends itself so much more to neurodiverse because you can set personalized paths where they can consume the process in a way that's structured for their reasonable accommodations, which is a gigantic untapped market. Gigantic,
So. No, so well said. So well said. So, moving into the area of efficiency and our RC. So we talk a little bit around how the tools provide speed and agility and obviously allow humans to do more of the strategic and value-add components. Kevin, coming to you, any particular examples you can share on where that actual improvement around efficiency has been, more built or potentially any use cases?
Yeah, absolutely. And certainly the way we're using your technology, it lends itself not just in my team, because some of that efficiency has to be realized in the business. Because if you think at the scale that we hire, we make circa 15,000 hires a year in total, in various different forms from different channels. And so what you're talking about is a level of leadership time, management time, productivity time, because they are finite. They're putting one of the 40-hour chips down for an interview. You scale that across, an 8,000 leadership and management population in Ericsson. It's significant. So what you want to make sure is that we're driving that efficiency. So by applying the principles around the matching and the automation and the recommendations, the inference, and then creating a feedback loop so that we constantly feedback that in as to the quality of the calibration. Even in our review with your team last week, we were double clicking on how much are we driving in the calibration, like what's that then showing us as it pulls back through to a loop. So what you're doing is you're pushing people along, you're creating less human touch points, so therefore productivity gain, but actually higher quality touch points with a higher quality audience. So it allows us to move from thinking recruitment as a broadsword to starting to work with recruitment as more of a scalpel and being able to be quite explicit around how we do that. It also frees us up to start to focus on other areas around where we create that value. So, as we said, we talk about the future and we talk about where human intervention comes in. That doesn't necessarily mean smaller teams in recruitment. The CFOs would probably want to visualize that, but then you're rerouting money into different experiences because the talent population doesn't become any less difficult to engage. But what you have is you're creating new roles. We're working now on 6 or 7 roles that are going to sit in my organization that don't sit there today, that actually create those experiences, because what you can become is more dependent on the technology to give you those efficiencies. So not just the strategic work, but also the way you think about, okay, how can you apply more to the front end of, if the system's good, if you think about where we're headed. So you're going to have calibration will be automated. We already see that now. Sourcing will be automated. We're already seeing that now. Screening, scheduling, calibration for second meeting, assessments. So where does human intervention come in? Potentially the very front, generating, and then maybe the second or third interview stage. So you're then into deep. So focusing your time on developing those things like those matching principles and the work that we do. It is given the efficiency play, but it's also given the efficiency play through building a higher quality, more consistent product. And anyone who sits over a large-scale talent acquisition team will know that one of the biggest challenges you have is your team can only get to so many people, right? So you're dispositioning often, unfortunately, at scale, hundreds of thousands, probably up to 7 figures, where companies like IBM, where I used to be, and Amazon, where you're dispositioning at a large scale candidates that haven't had the opportunity to be calibrated in the correct way for the opportunity, or given feedback or created. And I think that is the big win there as well. So whilst you have the byproduct of productivity and efficiency gains in our organization, the consistency of the experience, which you could argue is an efficiency play, because the candidates search for a role becomes more efficient with your company, because they know, well, stop applying for these. Clearly that's not happening, but look over here, like you could do this. This is much more aligned. And I think as you get into different potential flavors, if you like, of candidate populations, that becomes more and more important, how you drive and direct them.
Yeah. So. Fantastic. Yeah. And from a program perspective, and both your organizations are really well progressed, and probably more so than a number of folks in the room who are at the early stages of theirs. One of the big aspects that we've talked about, and we were in this hotel last year talking about, is the transformation and the change management required, but particularly through adoption. And so would love, and Adam, I'll come to you, but it'd be great to get both of your thoughts on this. Any approaches, tactics you've employed to drive adoption, to remove or reduce the fear factor of adoption of AI, and this could replace me, I don't know if I want to work with it. Anything that you and the team have brought to bear?
We've tried many different tactics and ways, and we've failed with some. We've been more successful than others. And honestly, there's no silver bullet that I can say, do this and it will fix it, especially considering the variance of businesses and demand and needs and use cases. What I would say from a holistic perspective is what we can see now is what I guess I could say is systemic HR. We used to be in a world where corporate economics would plan the numbers, strategic workforce would put a work plan in place, outward pop some vacancies which TA would fill, and then learning development would create some learning solutions and go and develop those people. It's very siloed, very siloed. Might be really good, but it's very siloed. We're now stitching that together through the language of skill. As I said at the very start, we now plan for skill, we hire for skill, we develop skill. And to Kevin's point as well, it's what we're not trying to do necessarily is solve 100% of all the possible requirements that a business may come up with. What we are doing, though, is trying to solve 80% to give the TA teams or other organisations that ability to flex when necessary. So it's much easier now. This year, the first year that I'm very proud, we will be able to supply our what we call our directorates or our units or small businesses within Amdocs with actual skill intelligence, so that when they are planning what is significant spend in learning and development, we're no longer guessing and saying, I need $1 million on this or $1 million on that. We know where are the gaps, what is our skill demand for the next 6 months, a year, and therefore we can apply laser-like precision with a scalpel to that's where we need the learning to be invested. That's what needs to happen. So we're much more efficient now and much more laser-like with that deployment of the funding to actually go and develop the skills that we know we need for people that we know don't have it or need to develop the proficiency.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I think, there's that phrase, do you give the carrot or the stick? Do you dangle a carrot or do you hit with a stick? I like to hit with a carrot. This is for your own good, right? So this is for your own good. So, but in seriousness, it's what we're trying to do is take them on a journey. And I think you touched on exactly that point a second ago. Is what you need to remember is hiring is an ecosystem of multiple stakeholders. And for too long, HR teams decide things within their own organizations, design the implementation, design how it's going to work, and then just push it out and say, adopt this. And you're seeing it all the time with skills. Like companies are using far too much of their internal taxonomy. They're using far too much of the way that they've developed a very specific way of thinking about it. And it's not consumed by the external market. It doesn't resonate with the external market. So what you have to do is go and look at what do your candidates need? What do your candidates say? How are they going to interact? What do the managers need? How are they going to absorb it? And then ultimately, what's it working in service of for the organizational goals? And I think that's really where adoption starts to come in when you recognize there's an ecosystem. We launched about 6 months ago, back in November, we launched the pilot of our license to hire, which is the first time we've had a wall-to-wall training for hiring capability. It's not light. It's if you're a recruiter, you can do it in 4.5 hours. If you're not a recruiter, you can do it in 6 hours. A lot of training, very heavy, probably one of the heaviest ones in our learning platform. And then what we did is we launched about 350 managers, 100% satisfaction rating, because nobody had ever shown them the value of what they're creating. You're a manager, now you can recruit. Yep. And you should immediately assume the value you create and how you create those experiences. But what we're able to do is design it with the technology we have and the technology we know that's coming and the features we're going to deploy to say, this is now, but this is how we're going to support you, and this is the ecosystem, and this is why you need to give us feedback. Simple as that. This is why feedback's important, because this is what your recruiter does with it. Once the system's looked at it and it aggregates, and we're able to do that. Yep. So I think that's what I mean when I say, it's very much about, using the carrot to say, this is the right direction. but we will drag you there a little bit if we have to.
Yeah, fantastic.
Right.
I hit people with carrots. I'll take that away. That and hiring
Banking,
orchestration.
Sunday dinners have become a lot more interesting
there you
for
go.
people in
Exactly,
this audience.
exactly. That's it.
Throwing the carrots at the kids. This is for your own good, you know. So.
Perfect. Well, that has absolutely raced by. I think we could be up here for hours and hours talking and learning from both of you and your experiences and your team's experiences of the work that you've been doing. So, really appreciate it. I think ultimately, there are so many proof points out there. You uncover the use cases, the value assets, the things that are tangible and achievable through AI adoption. And obviously there's a lot of great examples already out in Eightfold's customer base and out in the market that you can leverage. All I would add is to engage the Eightfold team. We have a value management framework and a value management function that can support you and your teams to build the requisite business cases, if that's of interest. And all remains for me is to say a huge thank you, Kevin, Adam. After my initial dodgy start, all of my own making,
It's okay.
you did a fantastic job. So thank you both, gentlemen,
Cheers,
very
thank
much.
you.